Hello and welcome back to World 360. Russian President Vladimir Putin met with US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Donald Trump's son in law Jared Kushner at the Kremlin in Moscow on Tuesday. Their meeting lasted for around 5 hours. Kremlin described the talks as constructive and useful, but said that no compromise was reached on key issues like territorial concessions for Russia, Russia US economic cooperation, and security guarantees for Ukraine. Top Russian officials like Putin's foreign policy advisor Yuri Yushakov described the talks as constructive, useful, and substantive, but noted that, and I quote, a lot of work lies ahead both in Washington and Moscow. Yushakov also noted that beyond the leaked 28-point plan for peace, which isn't officially disclosed by the US, Russia received four more documents from the US side for discussion. He said, and I quote, some American draft proposals look more or less acceptable, but they need to be discussed. Just hours before the meeting, Putin also said that if Europe wants to wage war, then Moscow is ready now. Putin accused Europeans of trying to block peace, saying the continent is on the side of war because of its support for Ukraine and that the European demands for putting an end to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine are not acceptable to Moscow. Putin repeated the Kremlin's stance that Russia will negotiate only with the US and will not allow European leaders or President Zelensky to join the talks. Meanwhile, Zelensky said on the same day that the outcome would depend on the talks in Moscow. He said, and I quote, there will be no easy solutions. It is important that everything is fair and open so that there are no games behind Ukraine's back. Now coming to Honduras. A convicted drug trafficker, Juan Orlando Hernández, who was also former president of Central American country, Honduras, was released on Monday after receiving a presidential pardon from Donald Trump. So who is he and why was he pardoned by Trump just days before the crucial elections in the country? Let's break it down. Juan Orlando Hernández is a former politician who served as the 38th president of Honduras for two consecutive terms from 2014 to 2022. He had been sentenced to 45 years in a US prison for large-scale drug trafficking. According to the US federal prosecutors, Orlando was a key player in an 18-year drug trafficking and money laundering operation that sent more than 400 tons of cocaine into the US. They said he abused his power as president, taking millions in bribes from traffickers, including El Chapo of the Sinaloa cartel, in exchange for protecting cocaine shipments and boosting his 2013 presidential campaign. Trump, for his part, defended the pardon by saying that many people in Honduras had urged him to do it. He claimed Hondurans believed Hernandez was set up and that his conviction was a Biden administration setup. Trump also said he felt Hernandez had been treated very harshly and unfairly. The pardon also came just days before Honduras's presidential election, where Trump has backed Nasri Asfura, the candidate from Orlando's National Party. This shocker also came as Trump made aggressive fighting against Latin American drug trafficking a central part of his agenda. He had deployed US forces in the southern Caribbean and targeted small boats allegedly carrying drugs from countries like Venezuela. For our last story, we are covering Bulgarian protests. Tens of thousands of Bulgarians protested across the country earlier this week over a controversial proposed 2026 budget and long-standing anger at government corruption. These protests are among the largest the Balkan nation has seen in years. And it follows similar protests last week when the budget plan was first submitted to the parliament. Protesters chanted mafia and projected the words onto government buildings. Over 70 people were arrested after masked protesters attacked political party offices. Protesters in Sofia, which is the capital city, were setting bins on fire, breaking windows, and clashing with police in riot gear. In response to this havoc, on Tuesday, the Bulgarian government decided to drop the budget plan, which also included tax hikes. Furthermore, Bulgaria is set to adopt the euro currency from next year, and public opinion is divided on this issue. Some fear it could lead to sharp inflation and impact national sovereignty. This concern has led to overall discontent, although the budget and corruption were the primary drivers of contention. Since massive anti-corruption protests in 2020, the country has seen 7 snap elections and a series of short-lived governments. It remains deeply divided over broader alignment between Russia and the EU. According to Transparency International, Bulgaria is one of the most corrupt countries in the EU, with only Hungary ranking worse among the 27 member states. That's it for now. Thank you.